And just like that, it's autumn. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Such a glorious day today, I couldn't resist getting out for a bit. Thought I'd bring the camera along. And actually, I might split this video into two. I brought with me maybe 4 or 5 different little tiny knives that I've got. I thought that'd be worth showing on the channel. I recently posted on Instagram one of my latest little additions, which is the Spyderco Honeybee, I think it is. It got a fair bit of attention, so I thought I'd bring it out and give you a proper look around that. But whilst I was at it, I've also showed on the channel the Mora Eldris light, and I've only really just shown it in brief, so I thought I'd bring that out and give a bit more of a detailed overview. So I may split this video into two. You might just have a bit of a general chat while I walk around the woods and a coffee, maybe show you my new bands that I've got on my Catapult, and then I might do a dedicated video just for the little tiny knives, you know, just in case anybody doesn't really want to watch me waffling on for 20 minutes about absolutely nothing but what's going on in my life. You can just head over straight to the little tiny knife video. Just walking through the woods, caught this in the background. Let's go and have a closer look. So it looks like somebody's made a little den out of sticks. Here's the little entrance hole. Would you sleep in there? Not for me. So over the last maybe 4 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks, I've actually been laid up with a chest infection. You can probably hear it on camera. Still haven't quite recovered. Still coughing away. Still feel a bit bunged up, so apologies for that. I do have asthma, and it does affect my breathing, so probably I'll try to keep the wheezing to a minimum. Actually been through 2 sets of antibiotics, 2 sets of steroids, had a chest x-ray, but yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Oh, what's that? This big tree that's been uprooted. Anyway, yeah, so that's been about 3.5, 4 weeks now since I started that first cough. Excuse me, still hasn't gone yet. That wasn't for show, that was a genuine cough. And whilst I was ill, I didn't really have any time off or anything like that, but while I was laid up, I started watching some of my older sort of subscriptions to the bushcraft stuff that I used to watch all the time, and that really sort of bit the bug of wanting to be out here again. It's been probably 6 months since I last recorded a film for you lot. In fact, it was in springtime, a whole different season ago. 2 different seasons ago. We've been through summer, and now we're in autumn. The last one that I made, I was tapping some birch for some sap. So that must have been about March or April time. So yeah, it was definitely time for me to get out and just make even just a little video just to say hello, if nothing else. So I've come to the woodlands that I usually come to. However, I've gone a different path that I've never been down before. Seems to be full of hazel. I've walked past quite a few birch. And there's some massive tall sort of pine trees over there. So I don't know, you know, where this is leading me, but I'll try and find a little tree stump, sit down, have a brew, get my little knives out, show you something different on the channel. Never seen that before. Tiny little spider here, but he's laying dead flat to the branch. Almost thought he'd disappeared, but he is still there. There he is. Actually gave me a bit of a fright. Oh, there he goes, back into my jacket. Oh, there he is. Where's he gone? Give that a shake before I put that back on. Anyway, suppose we should check out the contents of the bag. So lots of you will have seen this bag before on the channel. It's the Polish bread bag, handy for a little day out in the woods. And in there, measuring tape, essential for measuring stuff. Catapult with the new bands on it. I'll talk through that a little bit later. Kinder Bueno, not my favourite Kinder, but it'll do. What's that called again? Kapilka, there you go, made in Finland. Solid. Looks like a Kuxa, but it's actually made of some kind of plastic material, composite. And then we've got something to boil the water in, something to carry the water in, something to cook the water in. Cook? Something to boil the water in. No, something to boil the water in, something to carry the water in, something to boil the water with. And then the final thing in here, which is actually the most important for today's video. I can't do this one-handed, bear with. Failed. Ugh. The Maxpedition Fatty pouch organizer. Full to the brim. Let's get it in the sun. Ooh. It's full to the brim with loads of little goodies. Let's have a look. So as you can see, it's about 20 centimeters long. Not the smallest pouch in the world, but not the biggest either. But it's really good quality. Loving these zips with the pull handles to be able to open the pouch. So without further ado, let's have a rummage in my pouch. See if I can do this one-handed. Ta-da! So there's lots of things in here, and no doubt a lot of you will be really interested to see all of the contents of this. If you are, drop the video a like or a comment, and you know, maybe I'll come back out and just film one specifically for what I've got in here. But today's video is all about the tiny knives. You can probably see a few of them already. We're going to be looking at the Mora Eldris light duty, the Victorinox Classic SD. I've actually got two of those. There's another one here in a pouch. The Victorinox Farmer A-locks, which I've actually shown a full review on my channel at some point, so I'll link a video below if you need to see that. And then finally this one here, the Spyderco Honeybee. So let's get them out and have a closer look. So here they are, laid out in size order, with the Mora knife being the biggest, Spyderco the smallest. So the Mora, it's predominantly a neck knife is what I use it for, which is why I've got this paracord and a little toggle around it, so I can wear it around the neck, you know, when I'm around camp. It's easy accessible. There's a stainless steel blade, which is 2mm thick and 59mm long. A slight drop point on it as well. It looks like it's got some kind of Scandi grind edge. Ergonomically, in my hand, it sits perfect because, you know, I don't have big hands. Let's quickly measure it. So from tip to, it's about 14 centimeters long. And I weighed it when I was at home as well, so I'll just pop that on the screen now so you can see what the actual knife weighs, and then what it weighs in its entirety with the sheath and the paracord. Now the good thing about the Mora, which you can do with both the Eldris and the Eldris light duty, which is this one, is that the sheath can be doubled up to use as a handle to extend the length of the knife. So let me show you that now. So if you take the knife and then put the sheath on the outside, you've now got a much longer grip. So people with bigger hands, you know, will find that really useful. So if you need some leverage, you're able to really push into that. All in all, it's a great little knife for the price. I think I paid less than £20 for it off Amazon. I'll put the latest price up now. I'm pretty sure you can get them for about 18 quid. That's British pound, which isn't as strong at the moment. So if you're in different countries and you're buying it from England, that might work to your advantage. The Mora comes wickedly sharp out the box as well. I haven't had to sharpen this at all yet. I've used it several times around camp, you know, just for cutting vegetables, cutting cord, things like that. Comes in useful, and always being around your neck. You know, if you got into any danger and you're away from your pack or anything like that, it's always going to be on you. Highly recommended for the price. Next up, we have the Victorinox Classic SD. Arguably one of my most used knives, actually, because it comes everywhere with me. It usually resides on my keys. So I use this as a keychain knife, but as I said earlier, I do actually have two of these. I've got another one in red, which sits in my med kit. And here is that one. It came with a sheath. I don't know why the blue one didn't. I don't think I paid extra for it. I think it came like that. So here's the red version. They're exactly the same. And like I say, I didn't actually know I had two of these. I thought this was a different one. And it wasn't until I went to go and get the knives for this video that I realized it was the exact same one that I have on my keychain day to day. Now these are tiny little things, even for my little hands. And you can see that roughly comes in at about, you know, under 6 centimeters. And it's just dead useful to use. I keep it on my keys because it's got a few things that I use almost daily. Let's have a look at the different functions that you get on it. So we'll start off with the little blade, and this is wickedly sharp as well. Probably sharper than the Mora, actually. Don't know if you'll capture that there, but it says Victorinox Swiss made stainless. So it's a stainless steel blade. It's very small. So, you know, usable surface of the blade is less than 3 centimeters. It mainly gets used for opening boxes. My Amazon deliveries every day. The next tool, which is pretty handy, is a file, and that's quite coarse, but also has a flathead screwdriver. I've used that to open battery compartments. Nothing on the other side. Probably worth shouting out that Victorinox actually classed this, the keychain ring, as a tool. I mean, I don't know how they've got away with that, but it is what it is. So I think Victorinox would quote this as a 6-function multi-tool, but, you know, that isn't one for me. So it's got 5 tools. You've got the main blade and the file that I just showed. And on this side, you've got a pair of scissors, which, you know, are small, but adequate. They do the job when they're needed. I've used them to cut cable ties and other bits. Can't think of off the top of my head what I've used it for, but, you know, they're there if need be. They're always on my keys. And then finally, the tool inside its scales has 2 extra things. A pair of tweezers, decent enough to get a splinter out, decent enough to pluck a hair, which I did for my girlfriend in the Peak District. And then on the other side, a toothpick. Never really used that, to be honest, but it's there if need be. So that's the Classic SD in blue. Actually looking at them side by side now. Looking at them side by side, which colour would you choose? Red or blue? It's like the Matrix. Probably this is the most used tool that I've got, actually. Sits on my desk at work. I'm constantly fiddling with it when I'm on Zoom calls and Teams. Just opening the blade. So this is the Victorinox Farmer ALOX. ALOX meaning the scales, the metal scales. And it actually has a thicker blade than a lot of Victorinoxes this size. This has seen a lot of use. So is the saw, which actually I have bent. I don't know if that will show on camera. You can see it's just slightly off kilter now. Still does its job. A good tool. Then we've got the reamer, which I generally only use for lighting fires. We've got the bottle opener, a screwdriver, and actually it's a wire stripper there. And on the other side, can opener and a flathead screwdriver. Sad to say, actually, well, not sad, but I do have another Victorinox Swiss Army knife that my girls bought me for Father's Day, I think it was. And I searched high and low for it for this video. It's got blue scales on it. And I've put it away somewhere. I've added it to a kit, thinking I would use that again in the future. And I can't find it. Don't tell them. So this, the final knife, is the Spyderco Honeybee, and this is tiny. I'll put some of the weights on as you know, showing you the knife, and maybe some of the stats that I can get off Amazon. I think this one in the UK at the moment is only about £16. So this is another keychain knife that actually I keep on my keys. It's my latest edition. Some of you will have seen that in on Instagram recently. And it's the Spyderco Honeybee. Again, a tiny little knife. I'll flash up some of the stats off some of the official pages so you can see that, but you know, you can see that the blade is under 4 centimeters long. The whole knife actually is less than 10 centimeters, about 9.5 by the looks of it. And when it's folded up, it's tiny. And I've got tiny hands as well, so that is really small. I do just loop a keychain ring for it. You probably could argue this is redundant because, or say redundant when it's not needed, because this already has a knife on it. But it's such a cool little thing that I couldn't resist adding it to the gear. What do you think? So I don't think it's worth going into too much detail, you know. There's hundreds of proper reviews out there on YouTube. But I just wanted to show you, you know, my little collection. What I use them for generally are just odd jobs around the house, opening boxes, cutting bits of cord. What else would I use it for? Cutting food when I'm out and about. And, you know, just general small, light camp bushcraft tasks. You could use several of these, the Mora or the Farmer, to whittle, a little whittling project around the camps, whilst you're around the campfire. And they weigh next to nothing. They don't take up any room in the pack. So great little additions for you to add to your kit. Having said that though, I'm always interested to hear what you guys have got. So if you have any recommendations, most of these have been bought off things that I've seen off YouTube, watching other people use them. So if you've got any recommendations, any great things, you know, that doesn't break the bank, let me know and I'll have a look at that. I have got one small knife on order that will make all of these redundant. I can't wait to show you that on the channel. It's actually being custom built by York Knife, who, you know, his books are full at the moment, shall we say, and I think there was a hefty lead time on it, but it'll be worth the wait. I can't wait to show you that in the new year. So if you could only choose one, which one are you voting for? Which one goes in your pocket? Let me know in the comments. I think one of the main downsides of the Mora, and why I don't carry it too often, is that, well, actually it could be easily rectified, but you know, by default, this particular model, the light duty, doesn't have a 90-degree spine, so it doesn't throw any sparks off a ferro rod. So I've got one here, and you know, it just doesn't work. Whereas there's a multiple options on the Victorinox Farmer that will throw some sparks off here. So I usually use the reamer. I know it's not used for that. It's a sharp edge. You know, does the job well. I don't want to set my jacket on fire. There you go, hopefully you can see that. There you go. But also, at a pinch, you could use the main blade, or even, and probably arguably the better choice, the saw. Works a treat. And as for these two, you know, I wouldn't use the blade for that purpose on there. I've never actually tried whether the file works. Let's try that. So it does. So even the edge of the small file on the Classic SD will throw sparks, so you don't have to use your main cutting edge. Although that's so small, you're not really going to be using that for any kind of tasks out in the wild. But, you know, at a pinch, we'll start you a fire. Now, what I have seen some people do to rectify that is just to get a file and, you know, file that edge down so it is a 90 degree. Now I actually do, in my pouch, have a multi-tool. So this is a, I can't remember what it's called. So in this multi-tool, it does have a file. So, you know, I could probably spend some time working away at that edge and that would then be able to throw a spark if need be. So for those of you that are on Instagram, you might well have seen my post in the last couple of weeks about this. So this is my Joker Catapult, which is made by Gamekeeper John. You know, his name's on eBay. And actually I picked up some new bands when I went to the Peak District with the lovely lady a few weeks ago. Mid-chest infection, suffered bad. Every time I went up a hill I was coughing my guts up. But yeah, so during that trip I took this catapult and we had 10 minutes firing some clay ball bearings while we were up there just having a bit of fun. But I damaged the edge of the band, so I picked these ones up from eBay. Again, it was from Gamekeeper John, and the green colour as well, cool. So I've never actually rebanded a catapult on my own before, so a couple of YouTube videos in, I've managed to do that. I think I've done an okay job, and you know, I've fired quite a few shots with it now. All seems good, nothing's snapped, nice and accurate still. But yeah, I really love this catapult. Actually, if you look on eBay now, it's the Joker model, as I said. They don't sell them in this kind of ply. I think it's like compressed ply. You can see the different layers that it's got. They don't sell it in this anymore. They've started making them in some kind of polycarbonate plastic, which I have actually watched videos on, and they seem indestructible, to be fair. And while I was talking about this on Instagram, an old friend of mine from YouTube that we've actually done a collab in the past, it's Jonathan from My 24 Adventure. He actually messaged me to see what catapult this was because he wanted to get hold of one. So he's got one of those new ones, the polycarbonate. I think that's what it's called. I might be saying it wrong. But whatever material it's made from, it's like almost like a glow-in-the-dark colour plastic. He's got one of them. So Jonathan, if you're watching this, I'm calling you out. I'm going to give you a month's practice and then we'll meet up again and see who's the best. So I'll look forward to that. So that was just a quick show and tell of some of my little knives that I've got. I do have a bigger bushcraft knife, which actually I use for more heavy duty tasks, and that's the TBS bore. You've probably seen that on the channel. If you haven't, go and have a look at some of the other videos in the past. So thanks for taking the time to click on the video and watch. I hope you're all well. I'll see you in the next one.